It's time now to head to the money desk. Devan Murugan, good afternoon. We saw, Devan, some jobs being created in the first 3 months of the year, some jobs, but I would imagine it's done very little to fix our big unemployment crisis.
Now, you're quite right. Those numbers are staggering. We had about 370,000 jobs net created in the first 3 months of the year. So, a trickle of good news there, but it's been offset by a large number of jobs that were lost in the first 3 months of the year. Let's take a look to see how that translated to the unemployment rate as we see it. So this is the number that's been flashing across the screens through most of the morning, 34.5%. It is a drop compared to where we were, but just under 8 million people unemployed when you consider that unemployment rate. The big one is the unemployment rate. That's the expanded definition. And what does that do? It basically considers people who have given up or discouraged from looking for work. And that number really amounts to all the people that are out of jobs in this country. 12.5 million people, Bradan, are out of work in this country when you consider the expanded definition. That's a staggering amount. So despite the fact we had a few sectors get the jobs in, we're still left with that very, very stressful amount of people who are not employed in South Africa.
That's a big number there. So Devan, where were these jobs created, and can the country build on that?
I think that's an important question. You were speaking to Kinsley just a few moments ago about what are some of the positive steps you could take to mitigate that. But here's the point. The point is that you ask an analyst and he'll still tell you, Bradan, that one of the big factors that stop the country or the economy from absorbing labour is the fact that there's very little investment coming into the country. You need factories to come up, you need buildings to come up, and you need small shops, small businesses, SMMEs to flourish. And the problem is, as many of the economists and macroeconomists will tell you, the conditions for business to flourish and expand are not there. We've spoken so much about electricity issues in the country. We've spoken so much about the infrastructure backlog. And then there's the issue of policy uncertainty. You ask any economist whether or not business is willing to take out billions, invest, expand, get more people on board. And the answer, Bradan, is at this stage, no. So we had manufacturing create some jobs, but it's just too little to dent the big unemployment rate.
Yeah, you mentioned small business. Dr. Kinsley Makubera a short while ago mentioning small-scale farmers, because you could also create jobs there in agriculture and contribute towards much-needed food security. But what about the young people? I mean, the numbers there of unemployment of young South Africans, especially that age group between 15 and 24, I mean, they're supposed to be skilled. They're supposed to be actively participating in our economy, but it's looking bleak.
Well, it just fell through on your screen as you were speaking. So let's look and zone into that particular bracket. 15 to 24 of age. As of today, the numbers released, these are the figures that actually are cause for concern. 63.9%. That's the unemployment rate in that bracket, 15 to 24 years of age. How many people are in that bracket? Well, 10.2 million people in the bracket of 15 to 24, and of that, 63% of them have no work. But it gets a bit bleaker than that. And here's the problem. If we roll through and you zone in on that 10.2 million people, and Bradan, it speaks to what you were talking about. Of that 10.2 million youngsters between the ages of 15 and 24, 3.8 million of them are not in any form of employment, education, or training. And by the way, that number actually went up by 4.6 percentage points compared to the last count. What does that tell you? The number of youngsters who are doing nothing is increasing in South Africa. So if you want to know what the future looks like, and again, we don't want to use the word alarmist, but it's a frightening picture.
It is a frightening picture.
You were speaking about, is there a possibility to go ahead and provide unskilled jobs for some of the people, let's just say over 20, that just simply do not have any qualifications? We're going to need industrialization, which is not happening in the country, Bradan.
Yeah, I mean, we've got KwaZulu-Natal that needs to be rebuilt in terms of infrastructure. Just as an example, you could absorb some of that unskilled labor in some of those labor-intensive infrastructure projects. This is bleak, and the number is going up just by under 5% compared to the last quarter. Not a good picture at all, Devan.
No, it isn't. And I think the focus now, what this number actually feeds into, it should feed into the education policy of the country. It should feed into the economic recovery plan. These figures, we need to have some fruits of actually deciding why we are looking into it.
And the reality, the truth of the matter is that you're going to need short-term measures, medium-term measures, and long-term solutions.